Hi everyone, good morning. It is evening here, but good morning to most of you guys who are tuning in for this Facebook Live. My name is Tessa Nguyen, and I'm a chef and dietitian, and my practice is Taste Nutrition Consulting. And I wanted to thank Leah McGrath again of Build Up Dietitian so much for letting me host this Facebook Live with you guys today. As I mentioned in the teaser video yesterday, I'm currently teaching English as a foreign language here in South Korea. And so many of you may be thinking, you're a chef and dietitian, like what are you doing there? So I just wanted to give a little background information about myself first, and then kind of what led me to being in Korea currently. So I've been a dietitian for 4 years, and I started my private practice 2 years ago, Taste Nutrition Consulting. And with my culinary and nutrition backgrounds, I wanted to create a practice where I was able to better help clients reach their goals, whatever it may be, by using both of those backgrounds. And I feel like it's been a great opportunity to meet a lot of people because you're working in the food and nutrition and restaurant and business industries. And so a lot of my work is virtual, whether it be like recipe development, writing blog posts, reviews, things like that. So when one of my best friends from childhood actually, hi Leah, or whoever is manning Build Up Dietitians, she told me about this program, I got interested because I've always been interested in Korean food, and we had family friends growing up who were Korean, so we've, familiar with the food and culture and things like that. So this is kind of the perfect opportunity to kind of explore that more and see where it could lead me. So 3 big reasons why I decided to teach here is because Korean food is delicious, and if anyone's had Korean food before, I think they'd agree with me too. Hi Kim, hi Melissa. I think they'd agree that Korean food is really diverse and interesting, and like lots of vegetables, kimchi of course. And 2, I've always wanted to travel to Korea, so that was a great. It is just after 11 p.m. here, Leah, so kind of late, but it's Friday, so it's okay. And so I've always wanted to travel here, so being able to teach here would be able to kind of travel here, obviously, for work. And lastly, it would give me the flexibility to teach during the day, but then still have time for my consulting on the weekends and nights with clients and stuff back home in the States. Hi, Tara! Thanks for joining. So that's kind of the background information about myself. So I, wanted to share my experience with you guys here. And before I do that, if you want to feel free to follow me on social media. I have all my links in the description below. So on Instagram and Twitter, my handles are at Chef Tessa RD. Facebook is at Taste Nutrition Consulting, and my website and blog is tastenutritionconsulting.com. Aw, thanks, Melissa. I enjoy seeing you and Taylor and your little one growing up and eating all the foods that you guys are cooking for him. So cute. Jonathan, if you want to come and visit, you can. Everyone's welcome to visit. One of the other dietitians, some of you may know, Milton, is actually going to come and visit with his daughter in a couple months in August, so that'll be fun. Yay! Thanks, Milton. And speaking of Milton, so one thing that's kind of tough here is you can't get everything on Amazon Prime. Like if you want something from home, like a lot of the grocery stores will have it, but it's super expensive. Or if you want to ship it from Amazon or some other, I'm not promoting Amazon, but like any other website like that, just costs so much. So, who? So Milton is being so kind to bring some of those comfort items to me, namely goldfish. I really miss goldfish, and they're not available here. But a funny story about that, actually, one of my Korean co-teachers who knew that I was missing goldfish, which is such a, I don't know, kid snack or whatever. She told me about this one in the store, and it's called Pororo, which is a really famous cartoon here. I think it's starting to get famous in the States, but it's basically like this cute little penguin that goes on adventures with his friends, and so they have that as the character, cheddar crackers. But everything here in Korea, like snack foods, like is sweet regardless of if it's cheese or not. So even though the flavor said cheddar, it tasted like almost like Biscoff crackers, like the like kind of graham crackery spiced cookies. So it was definitely not satisfying my goldfish craving. Yes, they are the best, Tamara. What's your favorite flavor? I miss Parmesan the most. In case anyone wants to send me Parmesan goldfish. But I do have a few questions that people left in the comments yesterday. Two from Robin. One was about kids' lunches or school lunches, and the other one was about grocery stores. Ooh, pretzel goldfish are really good too. Like if you combine both of them, like a snack mix, that's really good. But kids' lunches, I love the school lunches here because A, I don't have to worry about like bringing a lunch to school. B, it's really inexpensive. I think they take it out of my paycheck monthly, but I think it works out to be like $3 or like $3.50 for lunch. And it's awesome because you have like a well-balanced meal every day. You have rice, some sort of soup, some sort of protein, whether it's like tofu or vegetarian, plant-based, or a meat, some sort of like cooked vegetable, and then of course kimchi. Like kimchi back home, I feel like the most popular kind I've had is like made with Napa cabbage, but it's cool here because a lot of, I say ladies because at both schools that I teach at, they're all ladies that cook in the kitchen. They make like their family's recipe of kimchi. So sometimes it can be like with Napa cabbage, sometimes it'll be with like daikon or like radish, like the longer white radish. And sometimes they'll use like the radish greens, so it's awesome because you can tell that they're just using everything that they have on hand, and it's not like they're being picky about using just one select part of a vegetable or plant or whatever. So that's kids' lunches, and then grocery stores. If you follow me on Instagram, I get kind of wild with my stories and get excited going grocery shopping. I think most dietitians love grocery shopping to some extent or another. So grocery shopping in a foreign country is like mind-blowing in so many different ways. A, because I still can't read Hangul or Korean very well. And B, it's just the sheer amount of items that they have in a grocery store is kind of cool. There's one main grocery store that I talked about a lot when I first moved here. It's called Home Plus, and it reminds me a lot of like Super Target. So you can go there and you basically can get like all the groceries that you would need to and home items, but it's not necessarily not the best of each thing, but everything's there if you need it, but it's not like each item, there's a variety of the items. So it's kind of like you go and you get what you need, and it's just really convenient because it's not even like a 2-minute walk from my apartment, which is nice. And then I discovered one of my other co-teachers told me about No Brand, which is kind of, I think a lot of the Korean teachers I know call it Korea's like hidden gem kind of. But No Brand is kind of a hybrid of like Big Lots, if that makes sense. Like they have new innovative products that are coming out, but they're all really inexpensive too, which is nice. Yes, Leah, pork is everywhere. Which, it's funny because I think NC Pork or Feed the Dialogue, I forget, one of those just did a video before I moved here in February about pork and how, like, Koreans love pork. Like, pork is everywhere, but also they're starting to import a lot of pork, especially from North Carolina, which is interesting. Let me see the rest of your comment, too. Yes, I do. Supermarket RD nerd, of course. I'd say the biggest proteins are, ranking them if I had to, pork, especially samgyeopsal, which is like Korean for pork belly, bacon, delicious. I think everyone who eats pork likes pork belly to some extent. Then seafood, and then beef. Like, seafood and beef are probably tied. But I wrote about this in one of my blog posts too, about the school lunches, that they are, like, if you have dietary restrictions, it would be, the closest would be like pescatarian, because even like kimchi or soups and things like that, they Korean dishes are seasoned a lot with like dried anchovies or dried fish or seafood or some sort of meat, like using the bones for the broth and stuff like that. So seafood is used a lot, but sometimes in like sneaky ways, if that makes sense. So it's like in dishes instead of like the main item being the seafood dish. Ooh, sundubu is good. Except it's like really hot and humid here, but I would still definitely go for that. Sundubu is like the like tofu, soft tofu, and like kimchi kind of stew. It's really good. Let's see. So the grocery stores. Oh yeah, and Costco. Such an American thing to say, but I do love Costco. Costco here is on another level. It's unreal. So like if you go to, at least where I live in North Carolina, if you go to Costco on the weekends, it's like hard to go through. You know, you have your grocery cart. It's busy, but it's manageable. But here on the weekends, like I'll just go with my backpack and for whatever groceries I need in there. And even with just a backpack walking around by myself, it's packed. Like you're running into so many people. But it's cool here because Costco and like all the other markets I was talking about as well, they do a lot of sampling. So they really push like you trying out all the items before. That's been interesting, Leah. So Leo's asking about food allergies. So I'm allergic to tree nuts, and so that means technically I can eat peanuts, but I don't when I'm out like in public, just because I don't know if it's cross-contaminated. That's been interesting so far because most of the times I had mentioned my co-teacher, like at least for school, kind of like in the States, they have the menu of the month of like each day of what's going to be served. And she was kind enough to like highlight the items that have nuts in it so I know to avoid those. And then dining out hasn't been an issue, knock on wood, so far, because I've always been with either a Korean friend that lives here or with another native English speaker who's able to translate and help with that. But to be honest, I cook a lot at home now too. I go out to eat like on the weekends with other teachers or with other friends and stuff in the area, but I do cook a lot at home. So in the grocery stores, I'm usually getting excited about some of the products, but mostly buying, like, I say fresh items, frozen vegetables and stuff like that too, but just like ingredients by themselves, not necessarily like cookies or snacks, if that makes sense. Hopefully that answers the question. Have you tried their shopping in the subway via cell phone? What is that, Jonathan? I've never heard of. Tesco's like in the UK, right? It's a grocery store, but shopping in the subway via cell phone. Or is it like a funny video? I don't know. Let me see. I have to see about that. No, they haven't. They have Tesco here? I'll have to look at it. Okay, I'm writing that down. Thanks, Tamara. It was good to see you. See you in our meeting soon. Ooh, that sounds cool, Jonathan. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I think, so there's a lot of other, like, bloggers and stuff who will, like, post on their blogs of kind of things that they use to make here feel like home. But I haven't heard of Tesco being an app you can use yet, but I'll have to check that out. Thank you for that. Leah, I have not met any other dietitians here, unfortunately. So I live in a town called Songgori, which is, if you look at the map of Korea, Seoul is like the kind of the middle to northern west coast of South Korea. And then from Seoul, if you're driving, it takes like 30 to 45 minutes north. But since I don't have a car here, I take public transportation. It takes about 2 hours. to get to here. So it's not necessarily as populated of an area. But I know that they have the International Dietetic Group or something, but I think it's private. I tried to ask about it, but if you have any help in that aspect, that'd be cool to meet other dietitians that are here too. And then one of the other questions I had, Michelle asked, traditional versus westernized foods. This is something other native English speakers and myself kind of laugh about. So like you'll see restaurant names like in Hangul or Korean, and then you'll see like Western italicized like next to it. But it's kind of like not every restaurant, but a lot of restaurants have it on there just to have it, and not necessarily because it has something that's like from the UK or Europe or like the US in terms of their food. But I do love that traditional Korean restaurants, anytime you go, kind of, it's the same back home, or at least in North Carolina, which I'm sure most of you have probably eaten at a Korean restaurant before, but they serve banchan with whatever you order, which is like this little side dishes that come with it. So like kimchi, like little fish cake, soybean sprouts, like whatever kind of dishes they have on hand. So I like that regardless of what kind of restaurant you go to or whatever cuisine it is, they still have that like Korean hospitality of serving those side dishes, which is really nice. And one of my friends was joking too. So we went to McDonald's too because, you know, I love Korean food, but I eat it at least like 5 times a week. And banchan, yes, Jonathan. But like at home, I'm used to eating, you know, like Vietnamese food, Polish food, Mexican, whatever kind of cuisine because of like my background, and then also just where I live, it's really readily accessible for all those ingredients. So it's kind of like making what I have work here, but it's definitely a lot of modifications to like make like tacos, for instance, or any sort of like Vietnamese dish. But we did go to McDonald's, and it was kind of cool because their menu, and I posted this on Instagram as well, that they have like traditional, you know, like Big Mac and like chicken sandwich and fries and all that kind of stuff. And then they have something called the Shanghai chicken wrap and shrimp burger. I haven't tasted it yet, but I'm thinking I'll do a blog post and kind of compare like items that you could get at a fast food place here versus at home. Side dishes example. Okay, banchan, so side dishes examples. Some of the most popular ones, it's really funny because like kimchi is definitely the most popular because it's kimchi and it's Korea, but no matter where you're at, they utilize what they have, so it's kind of like not letting whatever produce they have go to waste. So depending on the season and then the availability, but I'd say they always have some sort of traditional kimchi that is, they use like the dried chilies with it, so like the dried chili powder, like sesame oil, sesame seeds, salt and pepper, that kind of thing. But one of my favorites is actually, so the town I live in, Songgori, is like in the mountains. It's very rural in some parts. And so where my school sits, you can see the mountain range, which is really pretty during the day, and we have like a little garden at school too. And one of my favorite dishes was one of the teachers, he just described it as like a mountain vegetable, like that's all it was, and it was kind of long. It reminded me of kind of like broccoli rabe in texture, but it had like thorns on it too, like a rose bush, if that sounds weird, but they cooked it so soft. But it was like really mild in flavor, so it was kind of cool that even though it was banchan or kimchi, like it was regional, because it wouldn't be something that would be made like down in Daegu or Jeju or like a different province in Korea. But that was kind of cool with the side dishes. Let's see. Hi, Vicky. Thanks for joining. Other stuff. Oh, So fruit is really big here, which I'm excited about as a dietitian. I think all of us are excited about fruit and vegetable consumption. Hi. So every holiday here, or like somebody's birthday, or if like you're sick, the big thing here is to like gift somebody fruit or produce. And Koreans take like great pride in not only like the taste of the produce, but also the looks of it. So, like, so let's see what holiday is coming up. We had Memorial Day Wednesday, but like a big holiday that's coming up is Chuseok, which is the Korean New Year, in late September this year. But one big thing they do is like they bring fruit to whoever's house that they're visiting, their family and friends and stuff. And so it's like you have this platter or this like really fancy gift basket of these beautiful watermelons in the store that are like over $50 for like one tiny, maybe like 5-pound watermelon. Citrus is super expensive here too because it's really, they call it like Jeju. Jeju is one of the, it's the island that's like below South Korea, that's still part of South Korea. So a lot of like citrus comes from down there too. So it's just cool that they pride themselves not only on like the quality of their dishes, but also how pretty it looks too. And that was something else too that I noticed. So I posted about a fried chicken sandwich yesterday because it just tasted so good. And in Korea, this is the first time I've ever like eaten out, whether it be like a Korean fast food chain or like McDonald's, like American fast food chain here. No matter if I was eating at a chain or, you know, like at somebody's house or at school, whatever the dish is, like whoever's serving it takes really great pride in how they serve it. So regardless of what they're cooking, it's nice that they're still putting that love and attention and detail into it, whether it be like fries or, you know, more like elaborate dish that they've taken a while to make. So just like the appearance of things matters a lot here too. Let's see. I'm trying to think of any other interesting things. But if you guys have any other questions, let me know too. But if there are no other questions, I feel like I've rambled a little bit too. If you have any other questions that you want to learn more about, like my time here or anything like that, again, I have all my social media details down in the description box. So I thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you have a good rest of, or beginning of your Friday, almost the weekend, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you!